Now, before we get started with today's video, I just want to say first that by the time of the recording of this, video, it's Rin's birthday. Shout out to all the Rin fans out there. And when this video is going to be posted, or by the time it's going to be posted, it's Yamame's birthday. Shout out to all the Yamame fans out there. Brothers and sisters of the Rindo family, hi, how are you? Welcome back to the channel and to this series. If you're new, hi, my name is Rindo, and I am a cosplayer, so to speak, right? I cosplay, well, not a lot of characters, but different characters, right? And by no means am I a professional yet, right? I still have more rooms to improve, and that's fine, right? That's part of the journey. And with this series, I take a look at each of the character designs of the girlfriends from the manga series, the 100 girlfriends who really love you. And as in my perspective, rather, I try to measure out as to how easy would it be for someone such as myself with little time, money, and resources to be able to pull off the cosplay of these characters. Now, needless to say, of course, I'm a guy, so I wouldn't be able to cosplay them anyway, unless if I do a cross-dress format or something, right? Alright, let's get this started, shall we? Now, the way that this works is that there's going to be 3 different categories. The head section is going to be focusing on the head area, so you have the wig or the hair, the eyes, and other accessories. The upper portion would be the dress or the upper area, and the lower portion will be focusing on the boots, the pants, and other parts in the lower section, right? And I'm gonna be rating them from a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being I can easily pull this off, or I can easily, get the money and time and resources to be able to pull off this cosplay, right? And for 1 being it's gonna be hard, right? Might as well just pre-order, or commission an artist, right, or a sewer tailor rather, to make these cosplays. And for most of the time, as I've explained in past videos as well from the series, a lot of the girlfriends have outfits that, yeah, I feel like the only way that you're able to get it right as close as possible is to have those outfits tailor-made, right? Now, unless you could also go for the option of trying to only focus on the head area, right? If you get the eyes and the wig and makeup and accessories to make the character noticeable done, then yeah, by all means go so. You can just dress up in any casual wear and just call it this particular girlfriend in a date outfit, right? I mean, that's what I would do if I were to, pull off more Rentaro cosplays, right? But yeah, let's start off with Rin, shall we? Because we picked up last time with Momoha, so now we're gonna be focusing on Rin. Now, for Rin's, please pay attention, or focus your attention rather, to this sort of graph that I made, right? And credits as well to Nozowa Sensei for the character designs. All of these sketches came from her Twitter, so please do check them out. They're absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be using them as a reference to get an idea, right, as to how these characters would dress up. In the case of Rin, right, let's take a look at the head portion of her character first, right? I would give it an overall 3. Now, her wig would be long dark hair, not as long, right, but just around the that reaches around the I guess what, the shoulder area, or a few inches below the shoulder area, right? And noticeably as well, there's gonna be braids here and there, especially towards the sides. And yeah, that whole area is why I would give it a 3, because unless if you could find wigs that already has that sort of feature, then yeah, good for you. But if not, which in most cases it's not, right, you would have to either braid it yourself or add braid extensions, which is going to cost a lot more, and it's also going to be more difficult to get that smooth styling to it, right? So for that reason, it's going to be quite difficult. For the eyes, you could go for red contact lenses, white ribbons to attach right below her braid area, and optional, you could also go for some fake sharp teeth to, complete her whole shark tooth or shark teeth look, right? For her upper portion, I would give it a 1, because I feel like with Rin's outfit in specifically rather, it really does have to be tailor-made, right? But her suit rather, or her blazer, so to speak, is quite similar to Kurumi's, where you have that whole gray design and that black outlining right in the this part right there, right? But the thing about Rin's outfit in particular is that it's cropped to the chest area only, so it's kind of like that Attack on Titan jacket, right? I don't know the names of the style crop top, was it? I guess, I don't know, yeah. But yeah, it's only up to the chest area. There's one button there, and one thing to note as well is the circular flounce cuffings that she has on the sleeve area right there. So that's one thing that as well that you should take note of. But if you can just cut off the, or rather you wouldn't take notice of, or you wouldn't take into consideration the circular flounce cuffings, and just focusing on a blazer, a gray blazer, just have also that black lining done, I guess you're good to go as well. And another thing as well with Rin's costume, or with Rin's design, is that she has an inner dress with a particular pattern, and this pattern in particular as well is similar with that of Kurumi's skirt, Momiji's, Kurumi's and Chiyo's skirt pattern, right? As she is a middle school student, they have this sort of pattern thing going on. And it's not a separate shirt in particular, it's a one-piece dress rather, with this pattern. So I believe that's gonna be quite difficult. But if you manage to find a skirt with this pattern, and that also happens to extend towards her waist area as well, then that's, you're all good to go. But I imagine that's gonna be difficult to find as well. And you can top it off, and finally rather, you can top it off with a red tie. As what you can also, for her inner portion as well, you can wear a white polo, right? For her lower portion, I would give it a 5, because excluding the skirt, all you need is some white stockings and some white shoes, which I imagine, it's gonna be quite easy to find, right, at your local department stores or whatnot. For Sue, let's take a look at her head area. I would give it a 3 overall. The wig that you'd want to use or want to get is a short grayish wig style with a white shade specifically in this area. It's gonna be difficult to find an exact wig with those parameters. So if you're gonna style it yourself, just be very careful. I have no experience in trying to, or I don't even know as well how you would begin to dye a hair, or you could perhaps buy a white extension, right, and just attach it somewhere in your all grayish wig. I guess you could go for that approach. For her eyes, you could go for cyan-ish contact lenses, and glasses, circular frame glasses. For her upper portion, I would give it a 2, because she has this cyan jacket going on, a fleece jacket, would you call it? I'm not so sure as well. It's also zipped, right, with a circular slider. Now here's the thing, with Sue's design, there's no sort of hint that there's a zip right in her jacket, so it seems like a what do you call it, a one-piece or unzipped jacket, but with a circular sort of designs attached right here in between the collar section. So that's one thing to consider as well. For her inner portion, you can take a look at this figure of Sue right here. She has that sort of inner long sleeve shirt going on, where the sleeves would reach until the palm of her hand, which gives this sort of fingerless glove effect to her, right? I'm not so sure if that's easy to find in your area, but for me, most of the long sleeves that I know would extend only up until your wrists, unless if you try to perhaps buy a bigger size or longer size sleeve, then it could possibly work. For the lower portion, I would give it a 3. Simple gray mini skirt and some sports tights, I assume, or sports leggings, I suppose, and some black shoes or boots or whatnot. Let's take a look at Eira's. Now, Eira's character design, or character rather, is heavily inspired by capoeira, right? Brazilian martial arts, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, or try to add on as to if I'm lacking some more details, right? But yeah, heavily inspired by Brazilian culture and the like. So let's take a look at how it's presented, right? One thing, small tangent rather, family. I absolutely love Nozowa Sensei's designs, right? And Nakamura Sensei as well. The characters that they create, I really, really love it, right? And Nozowa Sensei bringing that sort of vision to life, it makes it even more better. I truly love character designs like this, right? Especially with mixed martial arts girlfriends, right? Or fighter type of girlfriends. I really love it. I really do. Sorry, now going back with Eira, for her head area, I would give it a 2, right? Now, long silver wig that you could use, or long silver grayish hair with a bang right the bang right here, I believe it's gonna be quite difficult to style, right? Yeah, you're gonna be having a hard time with that. And the ponytail as well. Now there are two versions of which Nozowa Sensei has sketched right with Eira. One where she doesn't have her hair in a ponytail, which I guess you can easily style it that way fine with a plain wig, but with ponytails that's another matter. And I've discussed as well in previous episodes about the difficulties of having a ponytail, right? With Kishika and Momiji's character designs, for instance, they both have ponytails, right, fam? And with ponytails, or when you buy wigs rather, it's gonna be difficult as to whether you can really tie them up in a ponytail or not, which is why you have the option as well to simply buy a wig with short hair, right, or short-haired wig, and then buy an extended ponytail, right, and that sort of thing would oftentimes have to be custom made to fit the same color tone and style rather for the character. Momiji's and Kishika's are both examples, right? For Eira as well, I think her ponytail could be quite easy to pull off. I'm not so sure, but if you could stick with her hair down style, I think that would be just as great. For her upper portion, I would give it a 5. It's quite easy to obtain, right? Simply a white tank top, and you have this also. One thing to note as well is these black garments, right? Sort of a ripped design towards her shirt. So you have one that's lined right here towards the outer or her neck portion, right, and one here towards near her waist as well. I believe what you can do with this is try to get a black fabric, right, and try to sew it carefully, or try to find ways to attach it in those outer holes, and try to make a sort of miscellaneous or ripped design to it, right? So there's that. For her lower portion, yeah, this is the part where another portion rather that's heavily inspired by capoeira, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong in pronouncing this, right? Blue abada, right? Is that how you would pronounce it? So blue abada pants, so to speak, right? But it's sleeveless, or there's no portion right here. It's completely exposed in her right leg, right? So there's that as well, or more as well, that there's a sort of white ripped fabric garment, right, in this area right here extending out. So there's that you have to sort of consider as well. You also have her cord belt, right? Is it, correct me if I'm wrong again, if it's a cord belt or simply a belt or fabric, right, that's just wrapped around the waist. I don't know the specific name, but yeah, or for simplicity purposes, when you try to cosplay Eira, right, you could go for having a yellow piece of fabric wrapped around her waist and a green hanging fabric by her left side, right? Yeah, hanging by her left side. Then finally, to complete the whole look, you have some boots. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well about in her upper portion about the military chain tag. So yeah, if you're able to find a chain tag, or just make one by yourself by simply using some string and a piece of cardboard or whatever material or whatever sturdy material you can, and cut it up in the shape of a military chain tag, right? Then yeah, go for that approach. The goal, family, is to try to find ways as to how you can make this as cheaply as possible as well, right? So there's that. Yeah, overall, Eira is quite a easy cosplay to pull off in one way or another. Finally, we have Tama, right? Now for Tama, her head area rather, I would give it a solid 2 in a way, right? And this is because, or my reasoning for it is because there's a lot of inclusions to her, right? Quite similar with Rin's as well, right? So for Tama, the wig that I would go for is white wig, short hair, white wig. And you have to also take note of this design of hers, right? Or her wig styling this part of her hair, which is sort of like how you say this, extending in a sort of ovalish, pointy ovalish fashion or manner, and you have to find a way to make sure that it sticks to that sort of position, right? So you would have to use special hair sprays, wig sprays rather, for that can be able to hold that position for long periods of time. The same technique can be applied as well for example, with Eira's bangs and Kusuri's cowlick, and then Nyaku's as well. So there's that. Light blue contact lenses for her eyes, and white cat ears as well. I'm sure you can find these in most of your shops, right? In the anime conventions that I go to, at least, you're able to find, you know, white cat ears rather, here and there. So that's, you know, quite easy. And a cat collar as well with a golden bell, you know, that's, you know, that you wrap around her neck. For her upper portion, I would give it a 3. Though while it may look simple, right, I guess the more detailed version of it will be much more difficult. So let's take a look at the simple components first, right? Which is a plain white hoodie with the word cat, or the kanji for cat, written on it, right? Now you can go for the English version, just simply write cat on a plain white hoodie, or the actual kanji for it, right? If you wouldn't print it, or sorry, if you wouldn't write it rather with a pen, because yeah, you're afraid that you might mess it up, that you're afraid that your handwriting is not good enough or whatnot, whatever reason, you could go for the option of printing it directly onto the fabric of the hoodie using a special type of paper, transfer paper, I believe that's the name, where you can print something and transfer it on a piece of fabric by applying heat, right? Or in this case, you apply iron to the surface of the paper that's attached beneath or on top of the fabric, and then once you flatten it out, once you've ironed it properly, you take the paper out, or as you peel the paper off rather, then you're able to have the print that's printed on the paper be printed onto the hoodie. And that's really cool. It's the sort of technique that I've applied as well to my DJ No Smoking Before 20 cosplay, right? The hood as well, or not. This is going to the specifics rather. If you want to cosplay Tama simply as possible, then go for this option. Simply plain white hoodie with cat kanji, right? But specifically, if you take a look at the designs from Nozowa Sensei, Tama's hoodie, especially towards the sleeve areas, has that sort of cat paw designs to it, right? And I imagine it's gonna be incredibly difficult to find them, you know, at your local department stores or whatnot. So you would have to have it customized, right? Furthermore, you would also have the cat ears designs that's part of her hoodie, right? So if you can see right here, her hoodie has some cat ears, right? It's kind of cute, right? I'm sure there are hoodies with those sorts of designs, right? But I imagine that it's gonna be very expensive. So yeah, those are just options that you can have when going for Tama's cosplay. For her lower portion, I would rate it a 4, right? Quite simply put, it's black spats or shorts. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? You could just go for shorts as well in general, right? So yeah, or any, you know, garments in that matter, right? Whatever you choose. So yeah, shorts, I guess. And you have also white leg warmers for, you know, towards her her foot area. Now, into the specifics as well with Tama's design, the leg warmers have that sort of paw effect or paw aesthetic to them, right? That makes it seem like a cat's paw. You can either go for that option by, you know, trying to draw lines that seems like cat paws on the leg warmers, but I imagine that, you know, if it's too much, then just don't go for it, right? But simply put, I guess simple white leg warmers would do. And finally, you can top it off with a white cat tail, which you can also, I assume, buy online, right? Have it delivered to you easily. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of cheap varieties out there as well. That's about it for today's video, family. Thank you for listening and take care.